Hello and welcome to Faces with Columbus City Schools. We have an exciting show lined up for you today. We will be discussing social emotional learning, also known as SEL, at Columbus City Schools. We will highlight a very unique building level partnership with Trevitt Elementary School and Dreams on Horseback, an innovative program that brings horses and students together to learn about community, regulation, de-escalation, and relationship building.
We will then have a roundtable discussion with district staff on how we are incorporating SEL into student learning and community engagement.
But before we do that, let's catch up on what's happening in Columbus City Schools with this week's CCS Roundup.
Greetings and welcome to this week's highlights from across the district. Many thanks to the Columbus Crew, MLS, and Stay in the Game initiative for the launch of the Stay in the Game room at Starling Pre-K 8. It's not just a room, it's a celebration of learning and resilience. Imagine a crew mural, comfy bean bags, and even a gaming system. This magic room is just the beginning. Stay tuned for the unveiling of 5 additional rooms across our district, one in each of our 6 regions. Let's keep the winning spirit alive, inspire on-time arrivals, and make education a thrilling adventure. Here's to staying in the game and cheering on our scholars. A big shout out to the Columbus Crew on their MLS Cup victory. The recent Columbus City Schools Transition Fair successfully guided students age 14 and older through the challenges of adulthood, providing vital support and resources. The event focused on educational and employment opportunities, particularly for those with IEPs or 504 plans. Families collaborated with educators in a supportive environment, making the fair a dynamic platform for students to explore academic paths, employment prospects, and crucial life skills. This underscores Columbus City Schools' dedication to their success. A huge success! Our district's transportation team spread holiday cheer by filling a bus with new toys for the annual Stuff the Bus event. The mission was simple: bringing joy to young hearts during this festive season. Community members were encouraged to contribute new toys throughout the week. The bus was filled with the community's generosity, showcasing the spirit of giving as the CCS transportation team and community united for a brighter, more joyous holiday.
Welcome back. I am here, lucky and fortunate enough to be here with Jennifer Hansen, who's the Executive Director of Dreams on Horseback. And today we are here on this beautiful property on this great fall day, beautiful horses, and we get to hear a little bit about the program that our school, Trevitt Elementary, gets to participate in. So Jennifer, please talk to us a little bit about the mission and purpose of Dreams on Horseback.
Sure. Well, thank you for being here, Garima. I really appreciate it. Yes, Dreams on Horseback was founded in 2002, and our mission is to enrich lives with horses. We actually started as an outreach organization where I took my very first horse, Daisy, and transported her into inner city Columbus to work with schools and United Way agencies to really try to challenge kids to think outside of the boundaries of their neighborhoods. And then we were really fortunate to be able to build this facility here on the east side of Columbus in order to invite people to come and get to enjoy these incredible horses in a little more natural environment. So getting to work with the Trevitt Elementary and the Cassidy Avenue Elementary students is really a dream realized in this 8-week social emotional learning program.
And I'm so glad you mentioned social emotional learning. There's a lot of misconceptions about that word, that terminology, and in education we tend to talk about reading, writing, arithmetic, but talk to us a little bit about how this equine program can enhance children's academics.
Sure. There seems like such such a community need right now where students are really struggling getting back in a traditional classroom and being willing and ready to listen to the lessons in class. And so what we're finding is that the students are willing to come to this enriched environment, be around these incredible horses, and we're really working on some critical social skills that were compounded during the pandemic, and also threats of violence at school. And so what we're able to do at this center is the students can work alongside of these horses, which so many people say, why horses? What's the magic? And the magic is that horses naturally read the nonverbal cues of the people around them. They react to some of the cues that you may or may not even be aware that might be getting in your way, maybe frustration or anxiety, things like that. And so we actually do a lot of exercises that are sort of similar to a ropes course, where we might ask our students, a group of students, to complete a challenge alongside of our horses. And the horses are reacting to kind of any emotions that those students are feeling. And then our staff can coach the students through things like, how do you communicate with your peers? Or how do you resolve a situation when you get frustrated? And because they're working with these horses, the students are willing to listen to some of those lessons that they might not otherwise listen to. And then that can help get them back in the mindset to be ready to listen in the classroom, or be ready to be able to work through conflict at home when otherwise they might be getting in trouble.
Yeah, that sounds like a very enriching program. I heard you mention 8 weeks, right,
Yes.
that the students go through. Today I was able to witness some students on a horse, but that's not how they start off, right? So talk to me a little bit about how, just from the very beginning to now riding a horse, what kinds of things do they practice with their instructors?
Sure. Yeah, one of the most powerful things that we do is really just the interaction and the relationship with the horses. And so the students start with being safe around horses. They learn how horses communicate, because they might not care about how somebody at school communicates, but they're willing to kind of be aware of, how does a horse communicate? What do we watch for to see how a horse is thinking or feeling, and how to respond to that? So we actually start on the ground working with the horses. They'll learn how to groom the horses. They lead them. And probably most importantly, what we do are these ground exercises, where we might ask students to complete a challenge alongside of the horse, and then we can work through and some of those interpersonal dynamics that they might be struggling with. Of course, everybody always thinks about riding with horses, so that's kind of the icing on the cake. But really, it's all about kind of being your best person and practicing those skills alongside of the horses.
Yeah. A lot of great interpersonal skills, and I hear you saying oftentimes the horses are like mirrors for the students. And so on a personal note, you have this beautiful horse with us. Tell us a little bit about this horse and its name.
Sure, this is Charm, and Charm is actually owned by a private owner up in the Cleveland area. Charm is a halflinger, so she's in the draft horse family, but she's not very tall, which makes her really excellent when we have therapeutic riding. We work with a lot of students who might have physical or cognitive challenges, and so in our therapeutic riding program, we are able to work with those students, but they're not so tall, high up off the ground. Charm is a lovely girl. She's about 18 years old, and it's pretty hard to find horses who are so quiet and have such a great temperament to work around whatever we ask of them. You might see Charm getting brushed, but we also might paint her. She is okay with wheelchairs around, so she's a pretty extraordinary animal.
I am here today with Dr. Keisha Fletcher Bates, who is the principal of Trevitt Elementary School, and her and I are fortunate enough to be on this beautiful campus of Dreams on Horseback. We have the beautiful background here today, and we get to talk about the children's involvement in the program here at Dreams on Horseback. So, Dr. Bates, talk to me a little bit about from the very beginning. How did you get involved in this program?
Yes, wonderful. Lee Cole, she reached out to me and asked me if I'd be interested in coming out with her to talk with Dreams on Horseback and see if it would align to the curriculum that we have in Columbus City Schools. And that opportunity just really festered into a wonderful alignment with what we do with the Castle framework here in social emotional learning, and meeting the Dreams team and reviewing some of their lessons and lots of conversations. But that's how we got started.
And I heard you mention Castle and alignment to academics. I think you and I both know sometimes social emotional learning gets a bad rap. And so talk to me a little bit about how the social emotional learning aspect really aligns to the academics and what students are later on able to do.
Oh, wow. Well, so, self-responsibility, social awareness, self-awareness, decision-making, all of the key components in the world of work and vocational studies. So it's a combination of building upon the skills that you need in the work, like following directions, also the emotional and the cognitive things that happen with the children learning how to care for and groom a horse. The students get exposure to things that they have fears. And so that fear that you may encounter in any point in life, the apprehensiveness, this big 2,000-pound animal, and to see my students in the 5th grade, this is their last sessions of 8 this month, and they actually have no more fears. So breaking the culture of fear, and that we release fear through gaining knowledge, is something that they teach at Dreams. That is a skill that has far-reaching ramifications greater than this experience if the students continue with that.
And so it sounds like you're definitely a proponent of the program and the skills that they transfer really into life.
Absolutely.
A lot of leadership there. And so student became the teacher in your case. And I saw you get on the horse earlier. Talk to me about what that was like, your first time.
Yeah, it was exciting. This particular horse is 2,000 pounds. And when I took my foot over the top, and I struggled a little to get it in the strap, and one of this kids said, you got it, Dr. Bates, you're doing good, and they were encouraging me to continue. And then my student who was leading the horse, and he was riding in front of me, I was telling him, using the directions that he had given me on how to maneuver through this path. The students actually created their own paths. So they actually created mazes and then walked through these mazes that they created. So it was exciting. I was excited that so quickly he could teach me how to steer the horse. And quickly I learned, and then he left me.
He said, fly, bird.
Yes, fly.
So leadership, perspective taking, empathy, great skills. And it's hard to imagine that once a week, for 8 weeks, that they're already able to pick up these skills. And are you a proponent of expanding this program to other schools in the district?
Oh, yes. It would be a phenomenal. The equine experience that you get here and the staff, they are phenomenal. I actually, we're a health science school, so I was able to share with them the things that we do in health sciences, and they could augment the curriculum to support that work. So in alignment to the vision and mission for Trevitt, it works really well. And I think that we have a very good platform that others could repeat, rinse and repeat. It's an amazing program.
And you bring up another important component, teachers and staff, right? How have your teachers embraced this? And for those teachers that might hesitate into incorporating this into their work, what do you have to say to those folks?
Well, I'll have to tell you that when I talked to the staff last year about the bigger vision and how many moments we would miss of our reading block, the staff, 100%, no, Dr. Bates, no, we'll read on the bus. We'll make it up. They were eager. They wanted this for our students. They wanted our students to also understand something that many had never experienced. And we had just had that one exposure. They saw how excited they were. And so we're really excited. But to answer your other question, is how might those individuals who might be apprehensive? I think the apprehension, again, goes with knowledge. the more that they learn about what the students are learning, that social exchange that the horses and the students have, being able to calm their own frustrations, learning how to take directions and give directions. I mean, those are skills that we use every day around the clock in schools. And if our students can take that information and using a horse, an animal that is so large, and conquer that fear, imagine that math problem that they need to conquer, that algorithm that seems to frustrate them beyond capacity, they can conquer it. They can believe in themselves. And I don't want to expose it to the point of the trauma that is also underlying some of the issues that our students have. And it's just the truth. And so how do students express that in a positive way and understand what they might be feeling, so the therapeutic benefits as well, when you go beyond where we're going with this program, wow.
Yeah. Well, thank you. And it sounds like these are coping skills that they are learning and they will apply later on in life. I thank you for including us on your beautiful visit today, and good luck to you and your students. I appreciate you and the hard work you're doing at Trevitt.
Thank you, and thank you to the team, the engagement team, for giving us this opportunity, and Dreams on Horseback and the funding that they supported us so that we could do this phenomenal work with our students. Yeah.
Thank you for joining us this evening. We are so delighted and excited to have our colleagues and friends here with us today. Dr. Elizabeth McNally, who is the Interim Executive Director of Whole Child Supports. Thank you for being with us. You're welcome. And then we have Tyree Rivers, who is the Climate and Culture Support Coordinator. Long title, but I got it right, right, Tyree?
Yes, you did.
Okay, great. A lot of good work that you're doing in your office. Dr. McNally, talk to us about the work of the Office of Whole Child Supports.
Yes, so thank you so much for having us today. We appreciate the opportunity to come and talk with you a little bit about our amazing team and the work that we're doing in Columbus City Schools. So we're the Office of Whole Child Supports, and while the name focuses on the child, we are really explicit about making sure that everyone understands that the whole child is supported by the whole school, by the whole community, and by the whole educator. And we use educators as everyone who works in our educational system. So really using all of our network and all of our community to really support the work of our children and the growth and development of our children.
Wow, and I love how you differentiate that and the support that our students and children get. So Tyree, talk to us about how this work impacts the success of our teachers, staffs, and students and families.
I think the work impacts our students' success because we're all collectively on the same path. Mm-hmm. And if we all view ourselves as educators, no matter what our role is, so if you're a bus driver, you're an educator. Right when the students walk onto that bus, you're that first person greeting them at the door, onto the cafeteria. You're the first person giving them a warm meal and a smile in the morning. All of that care that they get before they even get to the classroom teacher, that door, it's all of our responsibilities to pour into our students, but also for us to take care of each other too. So we're not only pouring into our students, we're pouring into ourselves and our colleagues and into our families and community partners and bringing them into our fold too.
Wonderful, thank you. So when we think about how students that participate in SEL programs, they tend to do better in school, both academically and socially. Talk to us about why that is.
So social emotional learning is so important. It's important for our little people, it's important for our big people and our grown-ups. Really that understanding that the more able we are to regulate our emotions and to, being angry is a real emotion, and that's an okay emotion. We don't want to teach our kiddos and our adults that it's not okay to be angry, but how we process through our emotions in a really healthy and productive way is really what we're trying to support our students with. And the more able we are to stay regulated, to process our emotions and our feelings in a healthy way is super important then to how we receive instruction. We know that we have to stay regulated, that we have to be calm, and when we're calm and regulated and joyful, right, that's when we're really able to retain our learning and understand our learning and be able to pull it out of our long-term memory later when we need it. So those are really the things that we're focusing on with our teams is how do we help our grown-ups and our little people stay calm, stay regulated, stay joyful about their learning experiences.
Thank you. So Post-pandemic, we've heard a lot about restorative practices and the amazing work that your team is doing. Can you share what this is and just some amazing things about it?
So we are so excited about the expansion of our restorative practices within Columbus City Schools. This has been a long time effort. We actually began this work back in 2017. We've been working with our community to really help us so restorative practices, the big question we always get is, what is this restorative practices? And they keep hearing about circles, and certainly circles are a piece of restorative practices, but overall restorative practices is the science of relationships and community. And so as we're working together, we really want our students, our staff, to feel like they're a sense of belongingness and relationships within our school-based communities and in our community as a whole. So we are very excited. While this journey began many years ago, we have definitely been on a fast track this year. We are up over 500 staff members who have been trained on restorative practices. We're very excited. And our goal will be to offer training opportunities for all of our school-based staff next summer. So we are very excited about the growth we've been able to make just here halfway through Q2. But we also know that we have a lot of growth ahead of us with that. And we are so excited to have our team of folks together that are excited about really bringing this to a much larger community here in Columbus.
And you know, just to add on to what Dr. McNally is saying too, one of the things that I like about restorative practices is it really focuses in on a mindset. Like if we are focused in and honing in on building social capital with our staff, students, and families, and understanding them, cultivating positive relationships. So when you introduce us as our colleagues and friends, like that is so true. We want people to have those feelings throughout the district. It is so important, but it's a mindset, it's a way of being, it's a way of thinking, acting, and behaving in all of our spaces. So I think it just adds to it. So restorative practices is more than just, like Dr. McNally said, circles. That's a piece of it, a small piece of it, but it's really having a growth mindset and believing in the possibilities and the opportunities that we have for our whole school community, and more importantly, our students.
I love that. I love that. And hearing from our school communities and our families is really also critical so that we can make the best decisions as a school community for them. So, staff, students, and families recently took the Panorama Survey. Why is this so important?
Oh my goodness, Panorama to me, it is a social emotional survey and it's measuring well-being. But what I like about the survey that's kind of unique and different from others is it's that voice. It's the parents' voice. It's the students' voice. It's staff members' voices. Like we have a moment in time. We only have 2 administrations, fall and spring, and it's for them to say and express how they feel. And that's sometimes we don't get to hear that voice. So one of the things that it provides is equity of voice. Like all of your voices are invited into this space. It is valuable. It is important. We look at the data. We respond to it. Like we really want to be intentional, and it adds to our other action steps. It adds to other things that we might want to collect. So we can look at the academic. And so when you think about the whole child, it's that academic side, but it's also that behavior and emotional side too, and social. And this helps to capture some of that. And the same thing for our adults too. So that's one thing that I really appreciate about the survey. And I encourage everyone, if you have it, take it. It only takes like 10 to 12 minutes out of your day, out of your time. And we do look at that information to help drive some important decisions and supports around how we want to, support and nurture our community.
And so the fall administration, the window closed on October 30th, right? But we did take the survey back in the spring. Can you share a little bit about some of the results from the spring 2023 administration?
Well, we are so excited to be able to share results from the fall administration. How about that? Yes. Yes. So we just received our fall results, and we are so excited. We had more students take it than ever before. The reason that we continue to ask our schools and our families to support us in this, as Jairi was saying, the more voices we hear, we want to hear from each one of our students. We want to hear from each one of our staff members. We want to hear from each one of our family members, because Columbus City Schools is committed to creating this warm, welcoming learning space that is affirming for each of our community members. And we need to hear our voices of our folks to be able to know what direction we need to go. And while we certainly love it when 30 and 40% of our students participate, to get up over 70% has been really special for us, because now we can look at that data and say, what intentional shifts do we need to make because this is how our students are feeling? Or what do our students need us to do differently to better meet their needs? But also, as Tyree was saying, it's about our students, but we also know, how can we pour into our educators? How can we say, this is what our educators need from us, and really create those intentional strategies to support the educators and see that taking the survey is super important, and we are listening, and we are hearing, and we are taking action steps to make changes for our community. So we look forward to sharing some of those really exciting shifts that we are hoping to make as we really dive into that data. It just came back in the last few days, but we are excited about being able to take some really firm action steps so people can see. We heard from 3,500 family members, and we love that, and we look forward to the spring administration, where we're hoping we'll hear from even more.
Yeah. And you did talk a little bit about how some of the results are used, but could you share with the families? Because again, I think that's one area where we can do better, is really explaining, like, this is how we are using these results. So can you share a couple of just explicit ways that some buildings might use their data?
So we're hopeful that in the next few weeks, you'll see many of our schools get the weekly newsletters. Our family ambassadors support us with that. Some of our administration supports us with that. And we're hoping that they'll start sharing some of those data, some of the data they're receiving with them. They might say, these are the glows that we've heard. These are the things that we know we're doing well. These are some areas of opportunity for us and what we need to look at a little bit more closely. Some of the things that we might look at, one of our areas of questions is about the growth mindset of our students. And so oftentimes, how do we foster a growth mindset with our students? How do we help our students to understand that, yes, sometimes things are hard, and that's okay to encounter these hard things in class, but how we stick with it, how we persevere, how we work hard when things get hard is really what we're trying to help our students better understand how to do and how to work toward. So those are some of the strategies that we're hoping you'll start to see, hear from your students when they come home and we ask, how was your day? These are some of the things we're hoping to hear.
And then another piece too, that we survey all stakeholders across, like stakeholders meaning our community, our families, our students and staff, a sense of belonging. Yes. And our big initiative in our office is Restorative Practices and creating healthy, nurturing communities. So that data within itself, being able to look at that, and Panorama has a wealth of strategies. Mm-hmm. So not only just measures, we have a playbook. And the playbook has a lot of things and strategies that we can actually pull out and use and share and say, hey, let's try implementing this to see if this can help make sure that everyone feels included. I like to say, we want to create safe, brave, and smart places for everyone in our community. And when we look at those strategies and look at the data and what it's telling us, then we want to use those things. So we're not just aimlessly trying things, we're trying some evidence-based research strategies that from multiple sources. Panorama just happens to be one, but to support things like growth mindset and sense of belonging.
You've heard it throughout the year, intentional practices, remarkable results. Exactly. This is just another way that we are really trying to have those intentional database practices to get to those remarkable results.
So one of the most powerful things in closing that you said that is a cross-section with the work that we do in family engagement is that the work of whole child supports, it doesn't rest on just one person's shoulders, just like family engagement. It's the work of the whole district. So we, as your colleagues, we thank you for sitting with us today and doing the good work for the students and the families. Thank you.
Thank you for tuning into Faces, the show that gives you access to all points Columbus and Columbus City Schools.
From our district departments to our community partners, we are bringing our families and community together for a conversation to discover what connects us all, the joy of learning.
Remember, be courageous.
Be yourself. Be the light you wish to see.